Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Salmon, certified holistic health coach and author of You Can Afford to Be Healthy. And this podcast looks at a holistic approach to health from a multi-generational and multinational perspective of women of color. Brianna, thank you so much for joining us on the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I think this is the third time. I feel like we just love recording with each other. So it's so great to come back again.
Yes, I call you my essential oils expert. You are the supplier of all my doTERRA essential oils. I really appreciate you and all your, educational materials on essential oils. And I hope to really dig into some of that today, because we've talked on the podcast about sleep, which is essential. I know a lot of my listeners in my community struggle with sleep. Yeah. So we have that episode down where we talked about some essential oils that are great for that. But, a lot of us were doing raw foods for energy. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, are there essential oils that can support in that as well?
Yeah, I love how you talked about using raw foods for energy, right? So when it comes to energy, as you know, it's so much more than just using an oil, right? It's kind of like we have to look at our nutrition, our supplementation, our sleep. So it's actually all connected. Mm-hmm. But I do think at the end of the day, it's nice to have these natural resources to kind of just give us an extra boost, right? So they're not going to necessarily be the only thing you need to do for energy, but they can be a really great help. So there are tons. And the reason why essential oils are great for energy is that they have four kind of main ways that they help people. They calm, they balance, they uplift, and they energize, right? And so that's often based on the type of chemistry the particular essential oil has. So when we're talking about energy, I mean, there's so many. I'm diffusing peppermint and wild orange right now. Like those are kind of the two most common ones. And the reason why is because peppermint has menthol, which is very cooling and energizing, actually. So a lot of runners will use these, a lot of people working out to help them with workouts, but also to recuperate. Wild orange actually has a high component of limonene. So any of the citrus oils would have this, and limonene is revitalizing, it's cleansing in nature. And so those two I kind of really love putting together. Even frankincense, right? The king of oils, this beautiful oil that helps us at the end of the day. The reason why is that frankincense, in addition to all of the other oils, help with your cellular health. Because at the end of the day, energy comes from our cells producing, mitochondria is kind of one of the names, or ATP. And if our cells are not feeling healthy and energized, then we won't feel that. So frankincense, peppermint, wild orange, rosemary, and then there's actually some specific energizing blends that doTERRA has that could help. So that's just a few. And I think the best place to start is with one or two, and just really see what kind of combos do you love, right? Because you can use them in multiple ways. So it's kind of a little sneak peek on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would have never thought of frankincense. That was surprising.
Right. yeah, it is.
Because it seems like such a subtle, like.
Yes, exactly. It's subtle. It's not something like limonene wild orange or peppermint that it's like you instantly feel that. Frankincense works at the deeper root level with our cellular health and energy. So yeah.
Love that. So we recently talked on the podcast about the burnout and stress that nurses are dealing with, especially with the pandemic. I mean, they were dealing with this before, but COVID-19 situation has really exacerbated it. There are many nurses that listen to this show. So I was wondering, what kind of essential oils could help with stress alleviation?
Yeah, I love that you talk about that, because 2 years ago, doTERRA came out actually with a line. So obviously single oils, but I really love blends that are pre-done, so I don't have to go and blend it all together. Mm-hmm. But there's actually this blend called Adaptive, which is it's called the Calming Blend, and actually it specifically came out 2 years ago. Which, my goodness, doTERRA and their foresight to help with mental overwhelm. And so it is a beautiful oil of, it's odd. Some of the things that are in it, you wouldn't expect it to be in there, but magnolia is in there, I think it's magnolia. Let me make sure, bring it up. But orange, like some of those sweeter oranges are in there. You have frankincense in there, spruce, Sorry. I was reading a different one. That's balance. We need a balance is also really great for stress, but adaptive has wild orange, lavender, copaiba, spearmint, magnolia, rosemary, and neroli. And so this blend together, whether applied to your body or diffused, can really help with that calming and overwhelm. Now, balance, what I was talking about is called the grounding blend. And that is more of like the trees and kind of tree oils, roots. And the reason why, I mean, when we look at trees and we look at roots, right, we're like, we go out in nature, we're calm, like we feel calm. And so there is something not just about looking at it, but experiencing it, smelling the trees. All right. So it's almost like you can bring in nature into your home using balance and using this grounding blend. And so obviously the single oils in those. So what I was mentioning, like the woods or the like calming oils, you can use, but I love blends. So it's just a little bit easier because they specifically design them to like work in synergy to bring about that particular calming. But, you know, I mean, there's single oils like lavender is a really common one, Roman chamomile, blue tansy, frankincense too. Frankincense, just buy frankincense for everything, people. Yeah. It's just like, it's great for your skin. It's great for your mind. It's great for meditation. Right. So with that just shows you, like, I think often like there's like 100+ oils and I have a lot of them, but we think that we have all these different oils to use for multiple things, but really actually you can use one oil in for multiple ways. And that's the importance of the education that I do around it for my team, is that you might have frankincense, but here's how you can use it all day, every day. I actually had someone who did that and she's like, oh, I used it so quickly. And then I forgot like how much it costs because it's such a great oil. And I was like, oh yeah, you only need to use 1 drop per time. Don't use 4 or 5. Right. So yeah, there's so many oils you can use in multiple ways, but those are some of my favorite for stress management.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know in my home, we love peppermint so much.
Yeah.
I'm running through bottles like crazy. So
right.
That's like one of the things when we meet up that I'm going to have to stock up on, because it's just, you know, all the other oils. It's funny because I'm in a situation where, you know, I share my home with other family members and trying to find the balance of the scents that I like and other people like. And it seems like we've only reached consensus on one oil.
Right.
So my goal is to kind of expand that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like after a while, I kind of get tired of smelling the same thing. Like peppermint, I love peppermint, but after a while, it's like, I want something different. So I like how you mentioned frankincense, because that's something I'm going to try. You also mentioned diffusing, and I heard you say roll on, or maybe I just made that up in my head. So, because I was going to ask, like, how should we use these?
Yeah. So a lot of doTERRA's oils can be used in 3. Oh, now they're adding a 4th category. So aromatically, topically, internally, and then they would say household, specifically just for your household. And that's the new cleaning products. And so when it does come to stress management or energy, I mean, there are aromatically or topically, like putting in the diffuser, smelling the bottle, putting it and rubbing it on your hands. Diffuser jewelry is a great way to get in the benefits. Topically as well. So there are certain places that you know, your whole body, at the end of the day, it enters your bloodstream. So it really does do the work that it needs to do. And so I have like my Motivate roller here, which I didn't even mention this one, but it's called the Encouraging Blend, but it's filled with mints and citruses. And so this is really great for motivation, but energy as well. And so I have this right on my desk. I roll this little baby on multiple times a day to just get that boost.
And where are you rolling it? Like on your
wrist? That's a great question. So like your wrist, some good common points here are different points, but like your wrist, on the back of your, like beneath your ears, your temples. I like to do it on the back of my neck, at the tip of my spine, and actually my spine sometimes. And the reason why is that that's your central nervous system, right? So it's like, it just all connects and can be gone in multiple ways and to your brain at the end of the day. Some people, I went to a class one time where we were talking about like emotional release and everything, would actually put oils at the top of your head right here. And if you think about it, when a baby's small, that's the part that's like forming, but that's really huge to like, I mean, just get straight to your brain and get the benefits. And actually one of the things they used to, they told me when my daughter was born, is to put frankincense right on top of her head right when she's born, because that's so soft and it can kind of really help with that mental health. Right. So, bottom of your feet is another great place. Actually, your stomach is a really great place to apply oils in general, because right? Our serotonin is made in our stomach. So if like you're trying to deal with like mental health, it's like eat well, but also like, put some oils there too. So there are different places, but the most common places are your wrist and your temples.
Awesome. And so you supply these oils. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you could tell us where we should go to get them. And of course, I'll make sure to have the link in the show notes.
Yeah. So you can buy them. Everything is done virtually, right? At this point, which is great because I don't have necessarily a storefront, but since I'm a doTERRA advocate, if you kind of go to my website and I can put the link in here or book a call with me. One, if you go to the website, you can just sign up. You can get a wholesale customer account, which I think is the best way to purchase oils because you get them 25% cheaper. I think a lot of people think, oh, I have to keep buying oils once I do that. No, you can buy oils once, but then it's 25% for whenever you need it. And when you do that, when you sign up, I say team, meaning like you're just underneath me. And I'm like, that means I'm there to support you. And as you said, like, I'm not just about like you buying oils. Like that doesn't matter to me if you buy $1,000 worth of oils if you don't know how to use them. And so I make sure all my team is very educated and wants to educate, like, how do we use this in our everyday life? And so that's the benefit of joining with me. Or if you're like, I actually have no idea where to even get started, book an essential oils consultation with me, free, and we can just talk about the best ways for you to get started in the most affordable way.
I could tell you why I love using essential oils. One of them you mentioned here, which is bringing nature in. And I've lived in urban environments until now. Now I'm in Orlando.
I see some trees back there.
Yeah, lots of trees, lots of animals.
Yes.
But before, living in these urban areas in high-rise apartments and things, like getting that smell of nature in is just like you said, it's almost like you can just close your eyes and escape and be somewhere different, especially if you're someone that's, working from home, working on the computer a lot, just having that little bit of an escape. And the smell, the olfactory system here that's going on, right? You inhale these things and it's affecting your mood. It's affecting your actual physical health because it's going right. It's penetrating the blood-brain barrier, and just helping you in all these different medicinal ways without you really doing anything except breathing, which you would normally do anyway. And I just find like as a mood enhancer, and I hate bad odors. So, if you've ever grown up with brothers or male cousins or any men in your life, having these things to spray or just drop in shoes,
drop in their laundry, drop it in their
shoes. Know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I know. It comes in handy in so many different ways. And, we've been talking about endocrine disruptors being in Black hair care and body care products. Yes. You were just mentioning doTERRA's line of cleaning products.
Right.
Cleaning products, especially now with the pandemic and all this sanitizer use, which of course I understand, we're kind of afraid of germs right now. Using these things that do less harm to actually protect that good bacteria, right? Without killing the bacteria and doing damage to our hormonal system, I think is crucial. So there's just benefit on top of benefit. Those are just scratching the surface as to why I use essential oils and why, we've been talking about it so frequently on the podcast.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying. Ultimately, doTERRA's name is gifts of the earth. Like that's actually what it means. And I just love that because they are gifts of the earth that we've had for generations. And yet, so in so many ways, because of how hard it may be to actually what we call distill some of these oils, we haven't been able to use them in an easy manner. But my goodness, all these essential oil companies are making it easy for us to enjoy these benefits. So let's not go to waste and let's actually use these things. That it's almost like we're bringing an Eastern, ideology around like functional health and taking care from the environment and using nature more back into the West. And we need it. We really need it to be proactive with our health versus what you're saying, like just waiting until something happens, waiting till our hormones are out of balance. It's like, no, let's get our hormones back in balance now. And reducing our toxic load is another great way you can use essential oils to do that.
Yeah, because it takes years for disease to manifest. So it's
Right.
like, even if, you're spraying all the Lysol or whatever, you're not getting a reaction right now. That doesn't mean that toxicity isn't building up in your body where cancer will show its face, 10
Right.
years from now.
Right.
Because that's what we know from the scientific research, is that cancer takes 10 years for it to show on diagnostics. It takes 7 years for diabetes to show on diagnostics. And we know even toxic air can cause endocrine disruption, where
Hmm.
even you can get type 2 diabetes just from
Right.
the toxic air. So yeah, so all of these things play a huge role, because
Hmm.
you're absorbing everything through your skin, through your nose, all of that.
Yeah. All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of your big I guess talking points on your platform, everywhere I see you on social media, you talk
Mm.
about helping women with food freedom, body confidence, and a healthy lifestyle without focusing so much on weight. And I would
Hmm.
really love for you to talk about this. Like, what does food freedom and
Yeah.
body confidence really mean for you?
That's really, I love that you talk about that because, when I started my health journey and, we went to the same health coaching school, I think I find now I've finally been able to put into words what I experience and what I help women with. It was the fact that like I had just been in this weight cycle, just trying to find my worth and my health in a certain number on the scale. And it just
Mm.
came to a point where I recognized even when I was my absolute smallest, I wasn't actually healthy. I did not have my period. I just didn't look good. And yet I just felt like, oh my gosh, it's so good to have this number. And yet I was unhappy. And so my worth and my health was actually not satisfied. It didn't satisfy me. So, going through a bunch of different things in my life, coming to a point where I said, you know what, I need to take care of myself and I need to approach food from a place of this is meant to nourish me and fuel me versus be a foe or a friend. Approach exercise from a place of this is meant to like give me life and strengthen my body versus like a means to an end. Like it's just a matter to like maintain my weight or because I ate too much food or whatever. And so I just started to see that taking care of myself and my relationship with food and my body did not have to be just about a number on the scale. And yes, I mean, that is it can be an important measurement of our health, but it's not actually, this shouldn't be the most important because you can be as I said, a certain number that falls into a good range and be unhealthy. And so really helping women and even myself focus on those non-scale health victories, better mood, better energy, better looking skin, your clothes fit better, like that means you're doing something towards really taking care of your health. And so, yeah, I think my coaching programs have kind of centered around that in the last couple of years. And oils I bring in a way to just kind of say, let's use them as a supplement, as a tool. But I mean, I have people who are like, okay, I'm so stressed. I need to sleep. I don't have energy, as we're talking about, but they're not willing to actually change their lifestyle. Well, oils can help for a certain bit, but you're going to have to keep using the oil and actually never get some long-term relief because you're not dealing with the root. So I think they go hand in hand. We need to change our mind and our lifestyle, but also use these tools in addition to that.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love all of that. And yes,
Yeah.
because it's like, I know my lowest I've ever been was 115. And
Hmm.
yes, I looked great. And I felt great. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of things. I don't know if I would get back to that number, or
Right.
even if I want to get back to that number, because I feel like the number I'm at now is more than that. I'm probably like
Right.
130, 140 at this
Hmm.
point, or somewhere in between there. And I don't feel I look bad, but at the same time, I want to turn fat to muscle,
Yes,
which
that's
would
key.
keep
Hmm.
me at probably the same weight, which is fine, but I would have more muscle, you know?
Right. Yes.
So it's like different goals. It's like being skinny is like, it's just being skinny. So like, what's the point of that? You know what I'm saying? I think
Yes.
ultimately it's like your body goal should be for you
Right.
instead of
Yeah.
someone else.
Right. And ultimately, what you're saying, like, why do we want more muscle? It's not just to be more toned. That's cool. But
Yeah.
muscle has so many benefits, particularly for us women as we age. It
Age.
helps us. It helps us with like metabolism. It helps us with our bone health. It helps us with so many things. And so we're not trying to, I mean, it's okay if you want to do it for looks. There's nothing wrong with that. But to see, like, if you want to live healthy years and let your whatever plus years, 40 plus 50, 60 be your healthiest years yet, you got to have some muscle. And that doesn't mean going crazy and lifting like 300 pounds. It just means challenging your body with some resistance. And that could be your body is your strength, your weights, or it could be some dumbbells or whatever. So
Yeah.
I love what you're saying. Yeah. And for me, when I started doing more regular resistance training, my weight went up, but I actually got smaller. And so I wasn't necessarily trying to do that, but it was interesting because my body's like, this is where I want you to be. In order to like be able to handle this weight, you need to be like heavier, but your fat is going to go down. And at the end of the day, fat is very important for us to consider, especially visceral fat, right? Like
Yeah.
that's actually where even toxins hide. So a lot of times you do a detox, right? And people are like, I feel great. I'm like, you want to know why? You got rid of all the toxins in your fat and then you lost fat. So it's like, that's what we want to do that on a proactive basis, using essential oils, using all these other things, watching like the quality of food, and not have to run to a quick fix. I mean, there's a time and place for a detox, like once or twice a year, I think it's good, but to use that as a way to only kind of deal with that. So totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where that essential oils comes in, because
Right.
the fat around the midsection is super dangerous. We're going to have some, but if it's excessive, that's
Right.
when you're putting stress on the organs. And
Yes.
what I've found, especially with my community that I work with, is that is really coming from chronic stress, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which
yes,
is
yes.
where the essential oils provides a great escape. That's part of like my daily ritual practice,
Right.
to kind of just center myself and calm myself down, because life can be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
So the essential oils help. And you talk about all of this, it's essential oils included, body confidence and all of this stuff on the summit that's coming up. So tell us
Yes.
about the summit that you're hosting.
I'm so excited. So this is my sixth one. I think you've pretty much been in almost all of them too. So, but
thank you so much. I
yes.
appreciate it.
This one is called the Your Healthiest Years Yet, and that goes back to it. It is ideally for women, approaching 40s, midlife. But even if you're 30 or younger, it's still great to learn about a lot of that. And it's just the idea that as we get older, we think that means our bodies are just gonna fall apart, or we're gonna always because of even the way that our hormones change and shift, like it's just gonna be miserable. And yes, those things will happen, but these can be your healthiest years yet if you're very intentional. And so brought together 30 plus speakers over the course of a week to really kind of just really lay down some foundational work, some tips, some resources around a variety of topics that actually relate to women 40 plus. And so I know you're talking about you can afford to be healthy, and that can go for anyone. Just the idea of like, we think that healthy eating is expensive, but really it might cost a little bit more, but we're actually saving money now and saving money down the long haul. So listen to your talk.
X.
But yeah, there's talks around like people surviving brain tumor, breast cancer and stuff people with fibromyalgia, people who, like is a sleep coaches who, like, we know as we get older, it's harder to sleep, and stress management. So all the areas that like we typically think of that we need to do work on to practice self-care and health, women are going to be talking about that. And it's a free summit from October 18th to the 22nd. You can purchase it, and it has tons of other bonuses for lifetime access. But yeah, it's just a space for women to be supported in multiple ways, and just really learn from each other, ask questions to both me and the speakers, and be supported in the fall. As you know, I know many of us are still the pandemic is still happening, but I think some of us are just realizing we don't know when it's going to fully go back to normal, whatever that is. So we need to take care of ourselves now. And this summit could help you do that.
Yeah, community is so important.
Yes.
And,
yes.
we are basically like, or very similar to the people that we hang around, right?
Right.
So if you want to get your head straight on to that health pathway, connect to community. And the summit is just a great way to do that.
Yeah.
And yes, like you said, I'm talking about you can afford to be healthy. And we're definitely also talking about in that seminar worthiness, valuing caring for the self. Self-care is such a trendy term, but I feel like a lot of people aren't really getting what that means exactly. That means investing in yourself. That means you are your highest priority. If you're not supporting your own health, you actually can't support the health of others.
Right.
You know, you are giving from an empty cup if you are not filling yourself up. So that's really what we're going to be focusing in on. And I'm so excited for the summit. Again,
Me
thank you so
too.
much, Brianna, for
Of
including me
course. Of course.
and for
Thank you for
putting this
joining.
summit on. I love
Yeah.
the topics that you're choosing. What
Mm.
inspires actually the topics? Because this is what, the fifth or sixth
Mm-hmm,
summit you've
mm-hmm.
done. So what
Yeah.
inspires the topics?
Yeah. So, I realized that a lot of my clients, not that I necessarily targeted this, it just they end up being 40 plus. And I think it's for a couple of reasons. It's just like they're finally to the stage, maybe kids are a little bit older, they're a little bit, career settled. Like they just realize that they need to take care of themselves. It's like I've tried this multiple ways. I've tried all the diets and I just need to find a new way, a sustainable way. And so I really just started thinking about like, what have clients told me or the people that I've talked with or people that I know that are 40 plus, and what are they struggling with in these areas? And so, I was specifically looking, like I really handpicked each speaker and then we really worked on each topic to really help women just, ideally, you're going to leave with just 2 or 3 or 4 things that are really going to be like just catalyze you forward in your health. And if you purchase the summit, then you can keep going back to it and make it like your own do-it-yourself course, right? So yeah, I think it was just from like 6 years of really coaching women that have struggled in all these areas and wanting to really provide a space to women for women to kind of get some support in those areas specifically.
That's awesome. I like
Yeah.
that. I like how you said take the one thing, focus on the one
Yes.
thing, don't get overwhelmed. You can
Right.
purchase it and go at your own pace and just stay
Right.
focused on that. So you're like
Yes.
focused on one area over, a
Yes.
30-day period or so.
Yes. Love it.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So how can folks get into the summit? How can they register?
Yeah, so registration is up from October 4th to, all through the week of the summit. So basically the 22nd, 24th, and you have a specific link too, so we can provide that in the show notes. And when you sign up, you'll get like a welcome video to explain the summit. Make sure you join the summit Facebook group because that's where a lot of the magic is going to happen. And yeah, if you purchase the summit, you can actually watch the videos right from when you purchase it too. That's immediate access. So a lot of people like that because then they have the whole month to what you're saying, really dive deep and still get support. So yeah, just sign up in the link below and you can go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brianna. We are looking
Thank
forward
you.
to the summit. And yes, the link will be in the show notes. So make sure you click below this video to get registered so you get access to the summit today. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.